to be them two over there that are waiting. Mr. McNally, you may have a seat here. And Kara, here's a chair for you too.
I'm really sorry about yesterday. How are you both feeling?
I'm okay.
Dad, you almost hit somebody. That's almost unbelievable. But things have been sliding downhill since you got here. Sally, I'm very disappointed.
I understand.
Do you? Dad had a stroke and came here for rehab. I know you know this, but he could walk by himself. I remember going down that hall together with him, and now?
He was stumbling, so we thought a walker was safer.
What Peg is saying is we kept an eye on his safety. But I understand. We missed your bigger picture. We saw the trees, so to speak, but forgot the forest.
More like the forest fire.
Forest fire?
When a lot of things in my life go wrong, I always think of it as a fire.
You mean the behavioral incidents?
Let's call a spade a spade. I tried to hit somebody.
That's not Dad. I can't even begin to tell you how shocked I was when I heard about what happened yesterday.
She's right. I haven't felt like me. The medication at night, the alarms that go off every time I move an inch. It's like you're trying to incapacitate me. Last night, for the first time, I didn't get all those sleeping pills, and I'm finally now seeing things more clearly.
I just can't wrap my head around it. You guys both saw Dad when he came in. He was the first person the neighbors would call for help. If a cat got up the tree, he was right there. If they needed a ride to the dentist, they would call him. And in just 2 weeks here, he's tried to assault people?
I know it's late in the game, but yesterday our group huddled and finally put the pieces together. We see how we contributed to all of this.
You mean you're not blaming my dad anymore?
No one is blaming me, honey.
Dad, what do you call it when you get your medication so you can sleep on their schedule? You, a guy who worked night shifts for 30 years. Of course you're up late, but then they give you sleeping pills. The pills that make you fall asleep because you're so groggy. To fix that, they give you a bed alarm, and that makes you scared to move, and that means you don't use the bathroom, and you don't exercise, and then you get a UPI, or whatever the heck it's called, and then you're in pain, and you're angry.
It's okay, honey.
It is not okay.
I get your point. It was a cascade of...
Bad decisions on your part?
We want to improve the situation. You have my commitment.
And mine.
To work as a team to get things right.
You're telling me your whole team is going to change how they behave? How are you going to get that to happen?
We started a new way to communicate and build teamwork.
Honestly, I've already started looking at other places for Dad.
Bob, what's your opinion?
Dad, what do you think?
I'm on the fence. I've worked with teams my whole life. There are going to have to be a heck of a lot of changes in the way things operate.
So how about this? Give us a week. This is my cell. Call me anytime. But at the latest, we'll meet again next week. Give us an update on how you think we're doing. Would that work?
I don't need your cell phone number. I can talk to the staff.
You could, but you can also call me directly. We want to make this right.
I'm going to keep looking into other options, but if Dad's okay with giving you a second chance, then...
Well, as long as I never see another bid alarm and no more of those ridiculous sleeping pills, I feel like I've been half asleep the whole time I've been here.
It's a promise, Bob. We know you've been through a lot, and we sure appreciate you giving us a second chance.
No more sleep meds? Okay with me. But how is this going to play out with night shift?
Great point, Marcy. Let's come back to that, because we do need a quick and accurate communication across all shifts.
The sleeping medicine contributed to the falls, which resulted in us issuing Mr. McNally a bed alarm. And both of these things eventually led to his UTI. So where do we stand today?
He attended PT yesterday. We made some good progress. I said he could give up the walker if he wants to.
Won't he be back at risk of falling?
It's possible the medication caused his unsteadiness.
Yes, that's clinically possible.
So what do we need to watch out for if we're trying to keep him safe?
Signs of disorientation. Any changes in mood? If he seems unsteady on his feet.
Peg's right.
That's basically what we do with everybody. I thought we were going to make some big changes with Mr. McNally.
Do you all have any ideas?
What about some kind of night owls group, something to keep him busy?
That's a good idea. I could talk to the rec therapy.
But they don't work nights. How can they help?
They might have some ideas for what to do. Other places might be doing it.
I can see it now, Brandon. Running that group will fall on nursing, like we don't have enough to do.
Maybe there are some creative solutions. What does everyone else think? Nick, you look like you want to say something.
Can anyone run a group?
Sure, we're all part of the same team.
I was talking to a couple of my buddies who work the night shift. I think they may be interested.
I know Ellen. She works night shift. I could ask her.
We could do this in all the neighborhoods. There are a bunch of people who don't sleep at night.
We could start a group of staff who are interested.
We've really tapped the vein here.
Let's make this concrete. What is the action plan?
Should I take the lead on forming the staff group? We could make it across neighborhoods.
I love the ideas, and I think we should pilot first. Let's make this bite-sized. What can each of you do by tomorrow?
I guess I got ahead of myself. I could talk to rec therapy.
And I can talk to Ellen. She can tell me how much bandwidth she thinks the nursing assistants on night shift have.
Does anyone know what Mr. McNally did at night? I mean, at home. After he stopped working at the firefighter and before he came here.
Not me.
Me neither.
Okay, so I'll ask him.
Let me know what he says. That'll help when I talk to the rec therapist.
So here's the recap. Dory, Nick, and Brandon, each of you have questions to ask, and we'll report in tomorrow's huddle. Anything you need for me to do?
If we're going to do this, I'd like to know administration is on board. People have slapped my hand before when I didn't get permission.
I'm on board.
So we have Dr. Kingston, and I'll confirm with Sally that piloting a night owls group in Mr. McNally's neighborhood, starting with just Mr. McNally, that is an idea she would support. We're almost out of time. I want to get back to the point Marcy raised at the beginning. How can we communicate this accurately across shifts?
Can we write things on the huddle whiteboard since Mr. McNally's still on the watch list?
Nice. That way we don't have to rely on shift change report.
Marcy, would you mind writing it?
Should have kept my mouth shut.
That'll teach you.
While she's doing that, there's one more part of the action plan I'd like to talk about. How are we keeping an eye on whether Mr. McNally is doing better?
For starters, that he's not trying to hit me.
Seriously, how do we keep an eye on that?
Should we note down the things you listed earlier, like if he stumbles or seems disoriented?
Maybe put a note on the whiteboard too. Ask other shifts to write down anything they may see unusual.
Perfect. Everyone clear on the action plan? All right, well, that's a great discussion. I guess I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Thank goodness.
I'm looking forward to this weekend. Yeah.
Peg had to attend some things in the neighborhood, so I stepped in. She told me about Mr. McNally's action plan from yesterday. Where do you want to start?
We actually had a quick huddle early this morning, pulled our notes. So I can give a quick summary if everyone's okay with that.
Impressive. I appreciate your preparing.
Just seemed easier. You remember our action plan was to find out 3 things. 1, what Mr. McNally did at night before he came here. 2, talk with the night shift nursing assistants to find out whether they like the idea of having night owls group. And 3, talk with rec therapists about how to run a night owls group. Nick talked to Mr. McNally. Turns out that after he retired, he used to build model airplanes and ships at night. Sometimes he'd play bridge online, or he'd address envelopes and make someone a special card.
Huh? Address envelopes.
Yep. He likes calligraphy. Bob made this for my daughter.
got 15 nieces and nephews. I can keep him busy for weeks.
Looks like the content for the Night Owls group won't be a problem. What else did you three find out?
I talked to Ellen. She works night shift. She said they would not have time to sit with Mr. McNally, but they could get something started.
Break Therapy said they could provide supplies. I have to get back to them about calligraphy pens, but it seems like we can get some things.
If he wants to make cards, I will be happy to find some pens. We can also ask his daughter. She may be willing to bring him some personal supplies.
Outstanding reconnaissance. Do we have next steps from this?
Okay, well, I asked his daughter for supplies.
I'll ask Break Therapy about pens, but also about maybe getting some models through voluntary services.
When do you want to report back?
How about the end of the week?
Could we start sooner than that? No, he's really bored.
Yeah. What about access to the computers for the residents? That way he can play bridge online.
Brilliant, Dory. I'll make sure it's here tonight.
Before you ask, we need to be putting this on the whiteboard so the other shift can know what we're talking about. Okay.
Thanks, Marcy. Now back to our observations.
And since I'm here at the board, let me read what the other shifts had to say. Evening shift said he didn't have much of an appetite, and he stayed in his room. He seemed alert, but not very engaged. Night shift said that he went to bed around midnight, even though they offered him to hang out at the nurse's station a little later. But when they went to check on him, he was still awake at 5 a.m., just watching TV.
Any clinical changes?
Changes? Nothing here, but I saw him walk down the hall yesterday, and he was moving really slowly, but didn't have a walker.
He was still sleeping when I came in.
Marcy, what about you?
I found him groggy this morning when I went in.
I saw him stumble earlier. He had his slippers on his wrong feet, and I helped him switch them around.
When was that?
About 20 minutes ago.
I wonder what happened between yesterday and today.
I know we have other residents on the watch list to review. But what about an action plan for Mr. McNally, besides making sure he has a computer for playing bridge tonight?
I feel like we're missing something. What about starting a deep dive tomorrow?
A what? I feel like I should know what that is.
You know, when we use that deep dive into the whole person sheet and go over everything we know about the person's history, routines, it gives us questions to ask. Maybe there's more to Mr. McNally than being a night owl.
What does everyone think?
We promised him and his daughter that we will make changes, and I think this will be an excellent start.
I'll take the deep dive sheet to the whiteboard in the next 10 minutes. Please write down your names next to the questions you take so we don't repeat the efforts. Tomorrow, we'll talk about what we find out. Now, on to Mrs. Williams.
I asked Nick to facilitate the huddle today. That seems most appropriate since he knows Mr. McNally the most out of all of us.
She prepped me with some huddle facilitator role plays, so y'all can't pull a fast one on me. Now, as you know, today we're trying to figure out what's going on with Mr. McNally.
Yes, like why sometimes he's disoriented and other times he's fine.
Like why I found him with his slippers on his wrong feet yesterday morning. Did everyone look at this deep dive sheet? Good. Well, y'all know I'm a little bit of a rebel, so we're going to skip the first few items since we already know Mr. McNally's basic history. Where do you want to start?
I asked him what he was most proud of.
Great. Dory, what did he say?
His family. He said they all get along even at holidays. He can't wait to get back home to spend more time with them.
It sounds like I'd rather be at his house at the holidays. And that's a good lead to the psychological well-being section. Anybody?
I asked him what gets him out of bed in the morning. He drank at least 2 cups of coffee to get going and then walked around the block. He used to inspect the fire station first thing, so now he just inspects the neighborhood.
Reminds me of my father.
I don't see any connection to his being disoriented.
Unless he's not getting his coffee.
He isn't getting coffee. At least I don't think so.
What do you mean?
Breakfast's long over by the time he gets up.
But there's the coffee machine in the dining area. He could use that.
It's been broken these past 2 weeks. We put in a repair order, but when they did that, they discovered something wrong with the temperature.
Typical.
You mean coffee makes you put your slippers on the wrong feet?
Stranger things have happened.
Well, we're still giving him his gabapentin,
They're giving him what?
a medication for pain. We increased his dose. This could cause him to be dizzy and disoriented. And he's trying to get up and walk around, and this could lead to a serious problem.
We increased it at night because he was complaining of pain.
I can lower the dose, and we can try giving him routine Tylenol, plus targets and physical therapy.
I'll evaluate for modalities that will help with the pain.
Oh, and I can save some coffee from breakfast and heat it up.
Sounds like an action plan. What about this question about what brings him joy?
Ellen asked him that. He loved playing bridge online last night, and he was even teaching Mr. Cobbs the rules.
Now there's another one who stays up till all hours.
But we never thought of introducing them to each other.
Well, he's in a different neighborhood.
Well, Ellen said Mr. McNally wanted to start a late-night bridge club. He asked if that would be okay.
Who needs rec therapy to organize things when you have Mr. McNally?
Shoot.
What's up, Marcy?
I was hoping he'd teach calligraphy class. I was looking forward to those cards.
I'd like to go back to the idea of his having coffee and then inspecting his neighborhood. That seems worth exploring.
Actually, I was wondering if he could have responsibility for inspecting the neighborhood in the morning.
A resident?
Not a clinical inspection, but there's got to be something.
I asked him this morning about what de-stresses him. He said he worked in his garden. I suggest we have him do a plant inspection.
That's a great idea, Dr. Kingston. There's a bunch of plants in the Serenity Garden that could use some TLC.
And the ones in the dining rooms are dropping leaves.
It would get him moving a lot more than what he's moving now.
It will seriously help out. Who wants to look at a dying plant?
Won't he need tools like clippers or a watering can?
Tell him to come to me and I'll get him what he needs.
So we have two plans. Dory, you make sure he gets coffee in the morning, and I'll let him know about the plant inspection. Maybe if he gets some coffee at lunch, he could start this afternoon.
I'll take care of his gabapentin and Tylenol.
Right. Okay, folks. This huddle's adjourned till tomorrow.
I'm surprised the deep dive was so helpful.
What did you ask him?
I asked where he came from.
And?
By the time he was 14, he lived in 10 different states. Sometimes he couldn't even remember where he woke up.
No wonder he likes to inspect his surroundings in the morning.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I know it's upsetting, but I think that we all would agree that it sounds like Mr. McNally, he probably needs to be put back on the watch list.
Thank goodness he fell on the grass.
He doesn't look banged up.
But he sprained his wrist. How did his daughter react?
Let's just say Kara wasn't happy.
But he tripped over his own bucket. Any of us could have done that.
Sure, but we can also keep a more careful eye on our residents.
So you mean it's our fault?
No.
Sally's right. This is a systems problem.
There you go again with systems. What exactly do you mean?
Remember how the residents, their food used to always be cold?
Vaguely.
Was I here then?
Well, here's the short version, Dory. You know, the kitchen was across campus. And so still, the food, there was no excuse for the temperature. It would be ice cold when it would get here. It wasn't fair to the residents. So we finally looked at the whole process and how we could get the food from the dining room to us step by step. So it wasn't one person or one thing causing the problem. It was the system design, the whole system.
How?
Well, for example, one person knew the shortest route from the dining room to us. So that person, if they were out sick, the food took longer to get here and it got cold. There were other issues too.
Wasn't one of them that the food came here already on the plates?
Yep, we talked a lot with the food service about bringing the food here in bulk so it wouldn't be so cold. And the plate, how it would get from the dining room to us.
I thought they never make up their minds.
It's coming back to me. Peg, didn't you organize a blind taste test?
Oh, yes. It was the fastest way that we could think of to get everyone on board with how bad the situation was.
Once food service ate their own food, they made up their minds pretty quickly.
Clever.
But what this got to do with Mr. McNally's bucket? I still don't get how this is part of the system. We encouraged him to look after the plants. Doesn't that make this our fault?
Sometimes a system's invisible until we take a closer look. Let's try a mini root cause analysis to look at the whole problem. You know how it goes. Asking the 5 whys. Why did Mr. McNally trip over the bucket?
Because it was by his feet.
Why was it at his feet?
This is stupid.
Come on, Marcy. Let's give this a shot. Why was it at his feet? Anybody?
Because he didn't have any place to put it?
Good. And why didn't he have a place to put it?
Because he got so many gardening tools. They're all around him.
Well, why were they all around him?
Because we didn't give him a way to carry the stuff.
I've seen him walking around with his arms completely full and carrying the bucket. If I did that with my housekeeping tools, I'd get written up.
Why?
Because it's not safe. I could get hurt.
So we're letting Mr. McNally
Put himself at risk.
In a way we wouldn't be allowed to do ourselves.
That's the system we created.
Because we didn't understand what was going on. And I know now you're going to ask why we didn't understand, but I don't think there's an answer to that one, except that we were not paying attention. See, it's our fault.
Let's just try one more why. Why weren't we paying attention?
Seriously? You're beating a dead horse.
Well, I wasn't paying attention because I was focused on the benefits of getting him to walk again.
Me too. I was so excited that he had something to do.
I think I was a bit complacent. I thought we'd already come up with the right idea.
Can I point out that hitting a stumbling block?
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Hitting a stumbling block when we pilot something is normal. It's not a failure. It's a learning opportunity. We learn, then we tweak the system to make it better.
What did we learn again?
That getting Mr. McNally to walk to all the gardens and plants around the building is fantastic. But he needs some kind of cart for his equipment.
I could ask my supervisor if he has something.
Thanks, Nick. But whatever you get, let's make sure we pilot that first.
I'll give it to him for a day.
And we can keep an eye on how it's working out.
If it doesn't work, we'll do something else.
By asking more whys?
Why not?
Yeah, physical therapy hasn't bothered me a bit this week. It's been really good.
I don't know what's keeping these folks. I know people want to say goodbye.
Well, you know Kara, she's never one to be late.
Maybe you should take a seat.
Thanks, but I'll stand. I gotta give the team credit. I've never felt stronger in a long time.
Then we did our job.
All's well that ends well.
I'm not so sure, Mr. McNally. We put you through a lot.
You turned mid-course. I admire that.
Well, we've learned a lot from you. And we're going to be a better team now thanks to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, it shows. Like I've told you before, I've worked in teams all my life, and they don't change their culture very quickly.
No, it wasn't easy, but it was self-reinforcing. People learn quickly how much better we do when we work together. Those huddles we started saved our team.
And you all helped save me.
That's our job.
I'm just not talking about rehab, although that's great. but I'm also talking about the gardening too.
So glad you liked it, Bob.
Well, it also gave me an idea about opening or doing some gardening in a volunteer group in my neighborhood to help people who are shut in or not up to seeing anybody.
Gosh, I'm sorry I'm late, guys. I'm never late.
Except when you are.
Well, you're in a good mood,
Hi, honey.
and you're looking good too.
I'm ready to go.
Well, to get out of here at least. No offense to you, Sally.
None taken.
Well, I really wouldn't have believed it unless I saw it for myself. You guys really turned this place around. Thank you so much.
It wasn't me. It was a group effort.
Well, Dad, you ready to hit the road?
Let's go. Right here's really pretty today.
I love it.
Nice little breeze.
Hi, glad to see you guys. Mr. McNally and Carol are about to leave us.
Hey, good to see you.
All right, paratrooper. Couldn't let you go without saying goodbye.
Hey, I'm gonna miss you, buddy.
Likewise. We got something for you. Something to remember us by.
Whoa, whoa. As long as it's not a bid alarm, that thing was an experience.
Don't worry. We decided a few weeks ago that all of us was going to sit on one of those for about 15 minutes to see what it felt like.
And what did you think about that?
Worst thing I could have ever done. Felt like I couldn't move.
That experiment, plus a look at the literature, convinced us. We're eliminating all alarms here. And we have you to thank for it.
Well, that's an honorable legacy.
We owe you. This is from all of us.
Oh, great, a bucket.
For your gardening.
Oh, no list. That's a bucket list.
We filled in the first item for you.
Teach a class on plant care.
We need help.
Hey, how you doing? No hard feelings.
Absolutely not. I would have done the same thing had I been in your shoes. Hand me that bucket
Oh.
list. Okay.
Well, I think it says teach a calligraphy class.
Nick showed us the gorgeous work that you made for his daughter. And as you can see, my handwriting needs some work.
Well, at this rate, y'all are going to have me signed up as a staff member.
Be careful what you wish for, Bob.
Oh, okay.